Sometimes there'll be a group in here that I'll get chills up my back when they're hitting the right harmonies or just the right combination of instruments. And then capture it, and when you can play it back so it sounds like you heard it at that time. And that makes it worthwhile, makes it fun.
Capturing the sounds of Hampshire County's numerous and wide-ranging musical talents is Joe Crawford. Crawford is one of Hampshire County's recording technicians. He is the owner and sound engineer of the Stony Mountain Studio in Shanks, West Virginia. Crawford set up his studio when he first moved to Shanks about 10 years ago. Born and raised in North Carolina, Crawford is a semi-retired technology consultant who traveled the country with his work.
North Carolina hillbilly originally. Born and raised in the North Carolina mountains. I went to boarding school down in Lynchburg, Virginia, and picked up the guitar down there. We used to sit around the little store they had in the afternoons and play country music. So they kind of got me into it. Most of my life, either in church, listening to country gospel, or on the radio, listening to bluegrass and country music, and just fell in love with it.
He has lived in South Carolina and also Colorado. His tech consulting work, which included stints with IBM and the FAA, required Crawford to do extensive traveling, much of it in Texas.
I set up the studio about 10 years ago when I got back from Texas. The company I'd been consulting with down there went out of business, and so they paid me off a little bit with some equipment. So since I had the equipment, I decided to set up the studio.
His studio is located in his home in a secluded woodland setting in Shanks. Music has been a lifelong passion for Crawford.
When you play in, you spend a lot of time, I think, learning to play the instrument, but it takes a lot more experience playing to develop your ear. When you get into studio work, you really learn how to listen a lot more. As an example, picking one instrument out of a group of 4 or 5 different instruments, to be able to see how it fits in that group, and then how you can blend it in so that it makes a cohesive sound.
Crawford's recording specialty is the acoustic sounds he loves, the roots music of country, bluegrass, and folk. Some of the local talent that Crawford has recorded include Lonesome Highway, Janet Gillies, and the Short Mountain String Band.
I set up a studio originally to try to preserve the local music. The county's full of excellent musicians. Used to be, nobody had televisions, and so the entertainment was on Saturday night, you go out on somebody's front porch and everybody would gather and sit down and play music. It's like famous old fiddle player who's deceased now in the county, Israel Welch. I think every musician in the county just about has gone and played at Israel's cabin. And that was the entertainment, and so there are just a lot of excellent musicians in the area.
I visited the studio while Crawford was at work recording singer-songwriter Janet Gillies, who I had recently seen playing at Frontier Days in Cape and Bridge, West Virginia. Gillies resides in Baker and enjoys songwriting when she can. Her full-time occupation is a teacher of science and math. Gillies taught at Hampshire High School for several years.
I love it out here. It is just great. It's out here in the woods. Even though you got guinea hens in the background, sometimes it just adds to the ambiance. Joe is just a whiz. He's just a magician. He's just so good at putting people at ease, and he can fix the glitches without making you do the whole thing over again. So it really takes the pressure off. I can't imagine a better studio. I mean, I feel at home here.
His full-time consulting job drove Crawford to work 60 to 90-hour work weeks. After retiring, Crawford was able to open up his studio and pursue his passion of music through his recording.
Most of what I do here is, I guess, what you call, or I would call, studio live. They play together. If it's a group, they come in and they play together and they play through the songs. It may take a couple of takes to get the song down to the point where they like it, but it always has that sort of that live feel to it. I do CDs where we record one track at a time, get that track right, and then add another one. You can spend 1 to 10 hours just recording one song. There's some cases, I guess, in some of the bigger studios where they've spent weeks trying to get one song down. And they make it so technically perfect that they remove all of the soul out of it. There's no longer any feeling. And that's just carrying it too far.
His studio houses his computers, which are loaded with the latest in recording programs, along with high-quality microphones, amplifiers, speakers, musical instruments, and the many accessories needed to operate the studio.
I enjoy recording good musicians and good vocalists that they enjoy playing and singing. You try to make them sound as good as you can make them sound.
Crawford prefers a light recording schedule of about 1 to 2 CDs per month after many years of the fast-paced consulting business. But like many jobs that are a passion, most days you can find Joe Crawford behind the recording controls, capturing the musical sounds of Hampshire County and points beyond. I'm Greg Larry, reporting for HampshireReview.com.